So here's a question that all of these years, what God has done in your life, the healing, everything that's gotten you to where you are. And I'm not talking about the drug addiction. I'm not talking about the alcoholism. But do you ever still struggle sometimes? Whatever the pains that you walk through, those types of things, do they ever try to come knocking on your door at times to pull you back?
I think I will always struggle with feelings of self-doubt, with feelings of rejection. Those are definitely areas that I have to target. Those can be stumbling blocks for me still today. Old wounds heal, but they're still wounds. They may be healed. My alcoholism really took flight when I decided that I needed to back off of the drugs. But what I did was I substituted one for the other. So instead of doing heroin first thing in the morning, I was drinking straight out of a bottle of whiskey. It got so bad that I would be waiting at the state store for them to open their doors. And I would wait outside the store for them to open. And I would buy a bottle of whiskey, and I would drive down the road drinking straight from the bottle of whiskey at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I would go home and I would drink the entire bottle of whiskey and I would throw it under the bed just with the other ones. I had a bottle in my hand most of the time. I was pretty reckless. It was like this weird thing I had going on though, because I wanted to be the best all of the time, and I wanted all of my teachers to love me, and I wanted to get the best grades, and I was the captain of different things. I really wanted to be the best in everything I did. So that kind of doesn't really match up with some of the other choices I was making. It was almost like two lives for a while. But then when my senior year hit, that's kind of when I stopped caring about all of the academics, all of the extracurriculars. I barely graduated high school. I was actually told that I was not going to graduate. I missed 63 days of my senior year. I just decided school wasn't important anymore because I had got mixed up with that crowd. And that crowd accepted me. That crowd wanted me around. So I was like, oh, I'll go there. That's where I fit in. But that's where that whole lifestyle of the drugs started to come in, and I would experiment here and there. It wasn't really something that took me captive in the beginning, but it was something I chased. As I continued to use, and as that drug addiction continued to just explode, it just made me even more angry, because here I was a slave to something that I couldn't stop. Because when I looked around and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's on fire and I can't get out. No matter how hard I wanted to stop, I couldn't. So that made me even more angry. The breaking point for me, I was driving home from work, and I had stayed in addiction for many years. I experienced a lot of negative things. I compromised a lot. I overdosed. But none of that stopped me. None of that was enough for me to figure a way out. I was driving home from work and I got in a car accident. I fell asleep at the wheel and I smashed into a tree. And the crash woke me instantly. I was scared to death. I couldn't figure out what had happened in that moment, but when I realized, the first thing I did was thank God. I thanked a God I didn't understand. I thanked a God I didn't know or necessarily even believe in. But I thanked God, because in that moment, I realized that I could have killed a family. Instead of hitting a tree, I could have hit a car. I could have hit someone on their bike. I see God's grace in that now. And that was the moment. That was my rock bottom, as they say. And I was able to get home that day. I went upstairs in my room and I shut my door and I just fell on the floor, face down in the floor, and sobbed and sobbed, this guttural sob from your soul. Keep in mind, I did not grow up in a Christian home. We did not know the Lord. We did not go to church. We did not own a Bible. I did not have any personal relationship with the Lord. In fact, I blamed him in my childhood for a lot of hurt. I remember saying, God, if you're real, if you're really real, you will take this obsession and compulsion to use and drink out of me. And in that moment, I had felt a calm, a peace, and it was profound because my life was without peace for so long. Everything was chaotic. My sober date is August 28th, 2010. All things together for good. The hurt, the pain, the anguish, all of it can be used for good. And today I am not upset about my past. I do not regret my past. I do not regret a single thing that I went through. I would not be who I am today had I not gone through all of that. I would not have the character I have today. I would not have the relationship with God that I have today. I would not have the family I have today, the church I have today, the ministries that I'm a part of today. I would not have any of that if God did not allow me to go through what I went through. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
If there was one girl that you were facing that was you, and she doesn't know it, what would you say to her?
You're loved. You are loved. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are strong. You are an overcomer. You can do hard things. You are God's masterpiece. He says we are his masterpiece.